You there? I think it's recording. Yes, okay. Paul, I'm going to give you a demonstration of a couple of things I want you to know how to do with Chelsea while I'm gone, because it's my heart's desire that you, what you doing? You're playful, that you keep working with her, because she's got these gaping areas where she still pushes back. And for working with a horse, respect is defined as their appropriate response to your appropriate pressure. And Chelsea doesn't always respond to appropriate pressure. So I'm going to show you the things to do to practice with her so that you can refer to this later. And I'll show you in person as well. So you've already seen the gentle back up on the nose, back, which she's very good at. Then I hold my finger up and say, whoa, to hold her still. I don't know if you can see her, but she's perfectly still. If she moves, I take the rope and I shake it, which also tells her to back up. But if she hasn't moved, she knows it just means stand still. Back up. But see how long she's just standing here for me with this finger. No, ma'am. Now she's getting bored. Whoa. And to tell her to come, I run my hands along the bottom of the rope. So I'm really thinking that the making her stand still is going to be helpful to you in saddling her and in general in working with her, because that's one of the things that makes her tough. Another thing is that when you push on her body, she doesn't know what you mean, whether it's with your feet or your reins or anything else. I like to think of anything that's going right with Chelsea as a happy accident. I don't think so, Missy. So here's another thing to work on. You want her to back away from pressure. So I poke on her with my extended arm, which is my stick. That's in the chest to get her to back up. Then I hold my finger up and tell her to stay there. Whoa. And then I ask her to come back. Good girl. By doing those arm motions or doing it on the rope. I also then use the end of her rope for the same thing, which is a great way to do it, because ultimately you want to be able to do it just by the motion of the rope. See, I'm not touching her now, but she's still backing. Good. And then I shake the rope to get her to stand still. Whoa. Good girl. So come back to me. Yes, ma'am. That was super. And you can do the same thing with the end of a stick. So all these are things to do to get her to back up. And backing up is super important because you don't want her running over you. So I'm shaking the stick at her to say back up, and if she won't do it, I start applying pressure with it until she gives it to me. Now, whoa. Whoa. Good girl, come. She's much gentler. Heat seems to be over. I give her treats because it keeps her engaged, but after she really learns stuff, I phase the treats out. So that's just the backing up. Now let's talk about the getting her to move from side to side. And this is where she can get still kind of rough on you because she doesn't yield from her left very well. So what I do, there's two ways to get them to yield. One is with driving, which is either using your hands or a stick or something with a string at the end to apply pressure in the air to get them to move. It's to make them uncomfortable in a certain zone. And another is use your hands, which mimics using your feet. No, ma'am, quit chewing on me. She wants treats. So I'm going to use this spur. I'm going to give you the halter she has on and this spur. I have an extra stick, but it's not very great, but you can have that too. And I use this where I would put my feet if I were on her. And then I also touch her head or use her rope in the same way I'd use a rein. So right now, if I want her to give her butt away, which by the way is also known as a one rein stop or yielding the hindquarters, and it's the most important move you can teach a horse besides backing up, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply pressure where my foot would go, which is right behind the girth or the cinch, lightly at first, and I'm going to pull her head around. And if she gives it to me, and what I want is her to stay planted on her front feet and then just swing her back end around. So pretty, Chelsea. So pretty. Good girl. And if she gives me that, then I never press any harder. If she doesn't give me that, then I press a little harder for 10 seconds and a little harder for 10 seconds until finally I'm pushing where I want her to feel it on her bones. And she's still not going to yield if she's not in the mood to. No, sweetie pie. So obviously it doesn't hurt her bad enough. But you just stay there as long as it takes, because the second you release the pressure, she learns that she won. So this can be, this is a lot of her problem, I think, because she's learned that if she applies pressure, humans quit putting pressure on her. And one place she gets really difficult on is moving her butt around. And I mean not just that move I just showed you, which is to mimic how you would do it in the saddle. But I mean, with most horses, you can smack them on the butt and they're supposed to move their butt away. Not Chelsea when she's not in the mood. So I'm going to use the spur there as well and tell her to move that butt around. And now she's doing a lot better at it than she was. So good for you, Chelsea. Good girl. Let's not step on this. I know you want to eat that too. You want to eat everything. So there's one more move that I'm going to show you from the left. Notice we're doing this from the left. She's doing a lot better. But when she's in heat, it doesn't go this well. Stop chewing on me, girl. Stop chewing on me, I love ya. And that is to get her to yield her forequarters. The goal here is that she pretty much plants her back in and swings her forequarters around, a pivot, if you will. She doesn't do this one very well. It needs a lot of work on it. You shouldn't be forcing her into a wide turn. She should yield easily. And the pressure you do is to mimic what you do in the saddle. So you put one hand here where the reins would touch your face, and you take your spur or your finger if you are okay with getting your fingers really tired, and you put it in front of where the, oh my gosh, Chelsea, it's the best one you've ever done. Yay. You put it in front of where the cinch would be, okay? So you've got 3 feet positions, one behind the cinch, one in front of the cinch. Those move either their forequarters or the hindquarters, and then one right on the cinch, which is when you want them to go sideways. Haven't really worked with her on sideways yet, but let me see how we could do. With sideways, what you do is kind of lift the reins up and then put the spur right where you'd want, right where the girth would be. And you're wanting their front foot to cross over. Come on, cross your front feet, baby. So she doesn't quite have it yet. You can work on that with her yourself. You want her to cross, can you see my feet? Like this. Okay, and so as soon as she gives that to you, you take all the pressure off and give her a cookie and tell her she's awesome and she learns she did it right. You just keep doing it until she gives you what you want. So we call all these things, you know, here we're using actual pressure to get respect. But you also need to be able to do it from a distance. Sweet, back up, sweet girl. And that's where I'm using the stick to say, I want your butt to move, or I want your forequarters to move, or I want you to go sideways. She just doesn't have sideways yet. She needs sideways. If you've got sideways, you've got everything. But I think she's got the butt. Come on. There we go. And she starts out in a circle. I'm holding my arm in the direction I want her to go. But she doesn't have the forequarters very well. Come on. There you go. So notice I'm just doing it directionally at the part of the body I want her to turn. If I have to touch her, I have to touch her. But that's not the goal. I want softer pressure. I was touching her a few days ago. So on the left, we're on the left again, she's not as good. The reason this is important is because this is what you're using a lot of the times when you're walking with her. That's also what you use when you're circling. And she'll circle for me real well. And when I want her to stop, come on Chelsea, I didn't say stop. When I want her to stop, I lean over, I pretend like I'm falling off a horse, and I look at her butt. Because you want her to stop if you fall on the ground and look at her. Okay, so that's how you stop her. And now maybe for day-to-day use, most importantly, the way to work with her on walking with you. I hope you can hear me because you're not going to be able to see me real well. So let me explain it first. I want her to walk with me. Go ahead, darling girl. With her lead rope like this. And I want her to stay an arm's length away from me. And I don't want her in front of me, and I really don't want her behind me. If she's behind me, she can run over me. If Chelsea gets behind me and gets too close, what I do is kick her like this, like I'm another horse. Wham! And she responds as if I'm another horse. She just backs off. Doesn't hurt her. I don't kick her hard. It's just to say, back off of me. You can also do it with a whip or a rope, but it's just so handy that your feet are always attached to you. And if she tries to go in front of me, the first thing I do is that handy dandy shake the rope, which tells her slow down, stop, or back up. And when she's walking with me, she's mimicking what she did with her mom when she was a baby. That is, she's following me. She's playing follow the leader and doing everything I do. And so that's pretty much all there is to it, except for 2 more things. To back up, what I do is say, Chelsea, back, and we back together. And I give her exaggerated motions at first so she catches on. Wasn't that pretty? And when I want to stop, I just kind of stomp my foot and stop, again to give her a really good cue. If I can't get her to slow down by shaking the rope and keep her behind me, then I simply make her go all the way around to the left. I know, you're getting bored. And then I catch her here and I tell her when I want her to stop by shaking the rope. So I'm gonna just show you real quick how good she does. Come on, baby girl. Show off here. Good girl, good. Now the right turns are the hardest because she could get way ahead of me if she wanted to. Yep, back on up. Back on up. She's saying, but what about the treat? Good girl. So today your horse isn't in heat. She's an angel. Take a cookie. Try some of that Mare Calm that we heard about from South Texas Tack on the weeks where she is in heat. And give me a chance to show you all this in person because I care so much about Chelsea and you having a good experience and you carrying on with these things. And these things directly 100% translate into how she'll ride and how she'll do when you're saddling her, I promise. If you keep up with them every day, just in the way that you interact with her, by the end of the summer when I come back, I'll be weeping with joy because you will have the horse you dreamed of, as well as this darling personality and this beautiful animal.